How do you properly tackle the massive, fluffy double coat of an Australian Shepherd, without turning your living room into a snowstorm of loose fur, and leaving your dog completely miserable? It is a question that every Aussie owner asks at some point, because these beautiful dogs are absolute magnet for mats, tangles, dirt, and endless shedding. Hi, welcome back to Paw and Order. My name is Carl, and in this video we are breaking down the ultimate routine to keep that majestic coat looking professional, healthy, and completely tangle-free, without losing your mind. Australian Shepherds possess what we call a double coat, which means they have a harsh, weather-resistant outer layer and a soft, dense undercoat beneath it. This setup is amazing for protecting them while they work outside, but it also means they shed a lot of hair constantly. If you just brush the top layer of fur, you are missing the real problem underneath, where all the loose hair gets trapped and forms painful mats. We want to make sure your pup stays perfectly comfortable and happy throughout this entire grooming session. You need to gather the correct tools before you even think about touching your dog, because using the wrong brush will just pull their skin and cause them a lot of unnecessary pain. The absolute baseline tool for an Aussie owner is a high-quality slicker brush, which features fine wire bristles that excel at grabbing loose undercoat hair without scratching. You will also desperately need a sturdy undercoat rake, which has long metal tines designed to reach all the way down to the skin level, where the heavy shedding actually happens. A metal greyhound comb is your final essential tool for checking your work, and making sure absolutely no hidden tangles remain behind when you finish. Do not forget to grab a bottle of dog detangling spray, or a simple leave-in conditioner, because brushing a completely dry double coat will cause the hair strands to snap and split terribly. Having these specific tools ready to go makes the entire process incredibly smooth, fast, and highly effective for both you and your favorite dog. Before you start pulling a brush through that beautiful fur, you must properly prep the coat by misting it lightly all over with your chosen detangling spray. Think of this spray as a protective shield that lubricates each individual hair strand, allowing your tools to slide through the dense fluff easily instead of violently yanking. You never want to soak the dog completely, but a gentle dampness is exactly what we are aiming for to prevent flyaway hairs and painful static electricity. While you are spraying, use your hands to gently massage the product into the deeper layers of the fur, while checking for any large, hard lumps. This initial hand inspection allows you to locate any severe mats or hidden skin irritations before you accidentally hit them with a sharp metal tool. Making this a calm, soothing ritual sets a wonderful tone for the session, reassuring your dog that this grooming time is going to be a relaxing bonding experience rather than a stressful chore. We are going to use a professional technique called line brushing, which is the absolute gold standard method used by top groomers around the world to tackle heavy double coats. Line brushing simply means you work in small, controlled sections, lifting the hair up with one hand to expose a straight line of bare skin underneath. You then brush downward from that visible skin line toward the hair tips, ensuring you are cleaning out the fur from the very roots outward. If you just mindlessly swipe the brush over the top of the coat, you are only grooming the surface, while leaving a thick blanket of dead undercoat trapped flat against the skin. By systematically creating these visual lines, you ensure that every single millimeter of your Aussie's dense coat gets thoroughly cleaned out and completely refreshed. It takes a little bit of practice to get your coordination down, but this brilliant method saves you massive amounts of time and energy in the long run. Let us start this process at the bottom of the dog by working on the rear legs, and that famously fluffy trousers area, where mats love to hide. This back section accumulates a ton of loose undercoat, because of how the dog sits and moves, making it a prime target for dense, uncomfortable tangles. Hold the upper fur up with your hand, create your first clear skin line near the ankle, and gently use your slicker brush in short, systematic strokes. Work your way slowly up the leg toward the thighs, always making sure you can see the skin clearly before you move your hands higher. Be incredibly gentle around the sensitive inner thighs and the base of the tail, because the skin there is very thin and can easily get irritated. If your brush catches on a tough spot, do not yank it forward. Instead, lift the brush away and gently tap the spot to separate the hair. Now we move up to the main body, tackling the sides, belly, and back, where the vast majority of the long, gorgeous coat sits. Start low on the side of the belly and work your way up toward the spine, using the exact same line brushing technique you just mastered. You will notice that the undercoat rake works wonders here, pulling out massive clouds of loose, fuzzy hair that would otherwise end up all over your furniture. Keep your strokes relatively short and smooth, allowing the metal teeth of the rake to do the heavy lifting, without pressing down hard into the skin. Pay special attention to the areas right behind the front legs, where the friction from walking often causes the fur to twist into tight little knots. This middle section of the dog is usually the easiest part for them to tolerate, so use this comfortable time to praise them heavily and offer a few tasty treats. The chest and ruff area of an Australian Shepherd is their absolute crowning glory, but it is also incredibly thick, and requires a patient approach. This front area collects a massive amount of dirt, moisture, and loose hair, when they are running around outside exploring the world. Because the fur is so exceptionally dense here, you want to split the chest down the middle, and work on one half at a time from the bottom up. Use your slicker brush to carefully separate the heavy layers, working around the neck up toward the chin, where your dog will probably enjoy a good scratch. Be very mindful of your dog's face and throat, keeping your tools tilted away from their eyes and nose, so they do not feel threatened or scared. Taking your time on this beautiful front ruff ensures your Aussie walks away looking like a proud, regal champion with a chest that is completely free of heavy clumps. We cannot forget the head and those beautiful ears, which have much shorter fur but are incredibly prone to developing very tight, painful knots right at the base. The fur behind an Aussie's ears is exceptionally soft, almost like fine silk, which means it tangles up if the dog simply shakes its head or scratches itself. Switch exclusively to your metal greyhound comb for this delicate area, using the wider spaced teeth to gently feel for any tiny knots hiding near the skin. Hold the base of the ear firmly but gently with your fingers to absorb the pulling force, so your dog does not feel a single pinch while you work. Slowly comb through the short feathering around the ears, moving down to the cheeks and the top of the head with very light, careful movements. This area requires a soft touch and a lot of gentle reassurance, so speak to your pup in a calm, soothing voice throughout this sensitive part of the process. Now let us talk about the belly and the delicate sanitary areas, which require absolute precision and a very calm, steady hand from the groomer. You want your dog to either stand comfortably or lie down on their side, depending on whatever position makes them feel most relaxed and secure. The skin on the stomach is very loose and highly sensitive, so you must use your hand to pull the skin flat and taut before applying any tool. Use very light strokes with your slicker brush, avoiding the undercoat rake entirely in this area, to prevent accidentally scratching their sensitive underside. Clear out any debris or loose hair that might have gathered around the belly, ensuring everything is perfectly clean and smooth for optimal hygiene. If your dog shows any signs of discomfort or tries to move away, take a quick break, let them relax, and give them plenty of positive reinforcement. The tail and the back of the hindquarters contain the longest feathering on the entire dog, creating that classic, beautiful silhouette that everyone recognizes. This long hair catches everything from burrs to twigs during outdoor adventures, so it needs a very thorough, deep combing to stay healthy. Use your slicker brush first to separate the long strands of hair, working from the tips of the fur backward toward the skin to break up tangles safely. Once the surface looks relatively smooth, run your undercoat rake through the area to pull out any trapped fuzz that is lingering deep inside. Be exceptionally careful around the tailbone itself, as dogs are naturally protective of this area, and do not like feeling heavy pressure there. Grooming this section properly prevents the fur from twisting into hard mats, that would eventually require scissors to remove, preserving that gorgeous, iconic coat length. Once you believe you have brushed every single section of the dog, it is time for the ultimate professional test, using your metal greyhound comb. This process is called checking your work, and it is the exact step that separates an amateur groomer from a true pet care professional. Hold the comb lightly near the base, and glide it smoothly through the coat from the skin, all the way out to the hair tips. If the comb slides through the dense fur like warm butter, without catching on anything, you have done an absolutely flawless job. If the comb stops or snags on a hidden clump, stop immediately, put the comb down, and pick your slicker brush back up to work that specific spot. Never try to force or yank the metal comb through a tangle, as this will instantly hurt your dog and ruin all the trust you built. Dealing with an actual mat requires a very specific careful strategy, so you do not end up cutting holes in your dog's gorgeous coat. If your comb reveals a tight knot, isolate that specific clump of fur with your fingers, and apply an extra squirt of detangling spray directly to it. Use your fingers to gently pry the mat apart from the outside edges, slowly loosening the tightly bound hairs, without ripping them out. Next, take the very edge of your slicker brush, and use a gentle pat and pull motion on the knot, slowly picking it apart bit by bit. Never use regular scissors to cut a mat out vertically toward the skin, because it is incredibly easy to accidentally slice the dog's skin open. With patience, a steady hand, and plenty of spray, almost any mat can be completely broken down and brushed out smoothly, without losing any hair. Grooming a high-energy breed like an Australian Shepherd is just as much about mental management and behavioral training as it is about physical hair maintenance. You cannot expect a young or energetic Aussie to sit perfectly still for a full 30-minute grooming session right from the very beginning. Break the session down into tiny, highly rewarding intervals, allowing your dog to stand up, stretch their legs, and shake off the tension every few minutes. Keep a pocket full of high-value treats handy, delivering them constantly whenever your dog remains calm, quiet, and cooperative during difficult steps. If your dog becomes visibly stressed, frustrated, or starts mouthing at the brushes, it is a clear sign that you need to stop and try again later. Building a positive, happy association with the grooming brush ensures that your dog will actually look forward to these sessions as they grow older. To maintain this beautiful, professional look, you need to establish a consistent weekly schedule rather than waiting for the coat to become completely unmanageable. Brushing your Australian Shepherd thoroughly 2 to 3 times a week will keep the undercoat perfectly controlled and drastically reduce the loose hair floating around your home. During the heavy shedding seasons in the spring and autumn, you will likely need to increase this routine to a quick daily brushing session. Regular brushing distributes the natural oils produced by their skin throughout the entire coat, keeping the fur shiny, strong, and naturally water-resistant. It also allows you to closely monitor your dog's physical health, letting you spot any unusual bumps, ticks, or skin issues early on. Consistency is the real secret here, turning a potentially massive grooming nightmare into a simple, stress-free routine that takes very little effort. You now possess the exact professional blueprint, step-by-step techniques, and tool knowledge required to keep your Australian Shepherd's thick coat absolutely flawless. By using line brushing, staying patient with tough mats, and keeping the entire experience incredibly positive, you are ensuring your dog stays healthy and gorgeous. Your Aussie will look like they just walked out of a high-end grooming salon, and their skin will feel absolutely amazing without that heavy trapped undercoat. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and learning how to care for these incredible, beautiful dogs. If you found these simple steps helpful, please make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below about your dog. This is Carl from Paw and Order, reminding you to love your dogs, brush them often, and we will see you in the next video.